What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So if you're one of the people who's annoyed having to use the app or just not have voice chat at all on the Switch, well, there's some good news, it seems, as a company is actually going to be allowing several other companies who develop games to use their own software technology to allow them to then incorporate voice chat into their Switch games. Pretty cool. We've actually seen a few games even use it, and some more already announced to be using that same software. So we're going to get into that and what that could mean for the Switch's library. And then we also saw EA talk a bit about their financials, and it wasn't a good day yesterday for EA. We'll talk a bit more about that as well. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, do hit the like button. It does help out. We're actually going to start today with Apex Legends. It launched the other day, and it did pretty well right away, pretty much out of the gate. They kind of explained why they did it in this manner, where they just wanted to launch and put it out there. They knew, of course, the way people view EA's titles, and of course, they scrutinize things like loot boxes and other kinds of stuff, rather than kind of build up to it with this, try to create hype. They just put the game out and they said, look, it's Respawn, we can build a good shooter. Here's a good shooter. Yes, there's loot boxes and other stuff in here, but it's free to play. And so far, people have been enjoying it. It's a cool spin on the Battle Royale mode. Again, burned out on Battle Royale, but I see why people are enjoying it. And it looks like a lot of people are enjoying it, as they have now accrued over 2.5 million people who have logged in and played the game. And it looks like their peak concurrently was 600,000 players, which is very impressive for a game that was only out for about a day when they recorded those stats. That's actually very, very impressive. And I don't think it's going to fall off to the degree that we've seen with something like Radical Heights, where that was pretty big for a bit, and then it plummeted. So good to see, though, that this is going forward. And if you were concerned about this being it for Titanfall, well, you're going to want to stick around for the EA segment, because it might not be. Also, Kingdom Hearts actually moved a ton of units. Go figure. I think a lot of people were waiting for it, so it's not surprising that it would do well. And it's releasing on install bases on the PlayStation 4, which is massive. And then, of course, just the Xbox One to supplement that. But either way, they're doing well. 5 million copies have already shipped. That actually makes it the fastest selling Kingdom Hearts game to date, and it's going to keep selling. This thing is going to crack 10 million, I think, as well, without too much issue. It'll probably keep going. It's going to be a big hit for Square, and what's great about this is, I'm kind of stepping away from Kingdom Hearts, but of course, Kingdom Hearts is out, it's successful, things are moving along for it, which means their focus should now shift to Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? But hopefully we'll hear more about that this year going forward. But big success for Kingdom Hearts 3. It's that is, I guess, just another game from Square breaking into the mainstream. You could say Final Fantasy 15 did as well. I know Kingdom Hearts 1 did all right. Kingdom Hearts 2 did much better, and then, of course, 3 is now moving along. And we'll see kind of how much further it can go. Can it get to 15 million copies? I don't know. Well, at least for now, they've done 5 million that they've shipped out, and people are playing it and enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it's probably, I know people don't like it as much as 2, but I am having more fun with it, and visually speaking, it looks amazing. Like, I got that Toy Story level, and wow. Like the Toy Story world looks just like the movies. It's pretty cool to see, and I'm going to keep playing it, but good stuff there for Square. Let's get on a Final Fantasy VII Remake now. Also, we're going to talk a bit about Inside Xbox later on in this video, but we did have Cabal for Mortal Kombat 11 revealed, and he looks awesome, which is great. Remember during the initial reveal of Mortal Kombat 11, they had him pretty much run by real quick, which is a signature movie, runs by and spins you around and everything. He ran by, and people got real excited because they thought they were about to see Cabal. Turns out they were going to hold him off, and it looks like they held him off for Inside Xbox, where they revealed a trailer, and he looks really good. I think people are going to be really excited using him. His X-rays were brutal. They did a full fatality for him, and it was very brutal, and I mean, it's Mortal Kombat 11. I like that they're getting creative with a lot of these fatalities, more so than they have been in the past. And we'll see who else I guess they have up for us, and it does seem like they're going to just pretty much drop different trailers, and I'm sure Ed Boon will keep dropping characters on his Twitter feed, and maybe even throw a few in there just for fun. Like they pretty much said that Shaggy from Scooby-Doo won't be in there, which is something a lot of fans were pulling for. I thought as a meme, but it seemed to get a bit more serious than that. But keep looking forward to more characters revealed as we get closer to the release date. And I kind of like that they're giving each character a bit more emphasis, with Cabal, of course, having some popularity, obviously, behind him. Cool to see him revealed there. And guys, some of the quick things out of the way. Let's get into the bigger stuff. We're actually going to start with the voice chat on the Switch. Now, of course, if you don't know, maybe you're new to the Switch or you haven't really been paying attention too much, you can voice chat on the Switch in certain games. Fortnite, for example, will let you voice chat without that Nintendo app, which if you want to like voice chat in like Mario Kart, for example, or Splatoon, you need the app, and it's going to end up looking something like this, which is terrifying and way more work than it should be for something that was pretty easy to do back in like the early 2000s with the original Xbox and Xbox Live. Seriously, we were plugging headphones into our controllers with a little adapter on the top, but you didn't use something like a phone or any external device. It was all just part of the system. Something people have really wanted for the Switch. And when we saw Fortnite pull it off, we got really excited because we figured, oh wow, maybe that means everyone can now do it. But we saw more and more games happen and no voice chat. It was weird. And why is that? Well, now we find out that there is a company who's actually going to just start providing their SDK that will enable messaging and voice chat straight up through the Switch. As in, you plug your headphone and your microphone into the top of the Switch, and boom, you can start voice chatting, just like something like Warframe, actually, which even uses it, and Fortnite. This is actually Vivox, who has actually been purchased by Unity, by the way. Unity Technologies purchased them fairly recently, who makes the Unity engine, and according to them, it was just a coincidence that they're putting it out there, but they are now providing it to other third-party developers who want to use voice chat in their game natively on the Switch. Now, I don't think Nintendo is going to be using it because they are pushing their app, which is still really weird to me because obviously the Switch can do it. It's not an issue. So I don't know why this is, but they want to do their application. I have a feeling Nintendo of America is confused by it just as much as we are. The good news is we don't have to try to explain it to people. It's them who has to do it, so they have technically the harder job. But the good thing here is it looks like some companies are actually going to be using it in some upcoming games. Like Hi-Rez, for example, is going to be incorporating this into Paladins and Smite. Now, if you're curious, obviously Paladins we've had for a bit. It was free. It launched with the Founders Pack, and then it was free to play, but it is like an arena-style shooter. Think of something like an Overwatch. And then Smite is more of a MOBA-style game. If you're curious about Smite, Evan actually did a very good job making a full video explaining what it is and how it runs on the Switch that you can check in the card above. But it looks like at least we have some companies kind of already working with it. And if you're curious about the quality of this SDK, if you've used voice chat in Fortnite, you've already used this technology from Vivox, or at least the setup they have with their SDK. So it's pretty exciting to see this, obviously, because I want more of these games to use voice chat without that app on the phone. It looks like that will be the case, but we'll see, because apparently they're providing this free to these developers, which means indie developers can use it. Obviously, we see that several of them use Unity, so at least for now, any of these type of games will work with that. And according to them, as long as it's used across platforms, it will also work with crossplay. So again, we've seen it with Fortnite, with the Xbox and the Switch talking back and forth through voice chat. So we already know it works, and it's good to know that all these other companies will also be able to use the same type of voice chat that something like Fortnite is using. Next up, let's talk about EA as they released their financial readings for the quarter 3, of course, this past quarter with the holidays and everything. Battlefield 5 did fall into that quarter, and they did had to talk about it, and it wasn't great. They weren't excited to share the details on it because it seems like they have a lot of regret around that title, and they messed up a lot. They messed up the release date. If you remember, they pushed that thing back for whatever reason, probably to try to get out of the way of Call of Duty and Red Dead. Didn't seem to work. They sold 7.3 million copies, which is a disappointment to them. I know. You're probably thinking, 7.3 million? That seems like a lot of copies for something that released, back in November? That's not terrible. Well, according to EA, it missed their goal by about 1 million units. And if you start telling investors that, they're not going to like that. Like, if it was set at like 7 million and they made 7.3, then it would have been fine, I think. But because they probably set that goal at like just over 8 million, there's a problem. Now, they do blame a few things. They blame the release date. They didn't really talk about their PR. That was probably a big problem, too. And then they blame focusing on campaign rather than Battle Royale. I'm not kidding. And some people might not like that because, of course, I do think the Battle Royale thing will eventually phase out, whereas a campaign will pretty much, I think, live on forever as we have single player in a lot of our games. So that's kind of the thing, though. They seem to regret not having Battle Royale ready to go there and just having a campaign instead. So investors were not happy to hear that, and then EA has to lower their expectations. It sounds like, and this is going to be tough, I need you to brace yourself, it sounds like they're only going to make just over $4.8 billion, and they're going to have to pull that down from $5.2 billion. It's a tough world out here, I know. And that alone was enough to send stocks like plummeting. It dropped like 10 or 12% and everything. Aftermarket trading was bad. I'm sure it'll rebound. The stock market's all over the place anyway, but I don't like EA's not going anywhere. We just talked about them making almost $5 billion in their 2019 fiscal year, so they'll be fine. But they did talk a bit about Apex Legends. They talked about how a ton of people are playing it. That seems to be true. People are enjoying it. It's doing well on Twitch. But people were concerned about, hey, what about Titanfall? Well, you might be getting another Titanfall game, kind of. They talked about it, saying that right now Respawn is working on an action-adventure game, which seems to be Jedi: The Fallen Order, and then a shooting game, which seems to be, according to them, a take on Titanfall, and it's coming out later on this year. Now, they call it a premium game with a unique twist on the Titanfall universe, so who knows what that could be, but it does sound like they're going to be trying to push it out at the end of this year, which I guess they'll have Jedi: The Fallen Order and this other game. So Respawn's going to launch 2 games, I guess, in this year at the end. So that's going to be interesting to see that happen. EA says that they, of course, have 2 departments at this point working on the 2 different games, and they have the resources of EA at their backing. It looks like it's going to be a Respawn holiday, pretty much. Of course, they'll still have FIFA, NHL, Madden, NBA Live. So it's not like they're just showing up the Respawn stuff, but it sounds like they're banking on them, and Apex Legends has done well. I think that'll make them money going forward for a bit here. And yeah, it looks like they're going to focus and hope that Respawn can bring them in here at the end. One other interesting bit that they talked about for Apex Legends is it seems like they're going to really try pushing into things like esports, crossplay, and getting it on everything they can, it seems. So they talked about mobile and then other devices. Now, it seems like Apex Legends runs fine on the GPD Win 2 from videos that I've seen, which is technically a less optimized device than the Switch. Generally, if you run something on the GPD Win or the Win 2, it usually runs worse than the Switch because, of course, developers know exactly what they're creating for there, and it's not running like Windows or something in the background, which does take up a lot of resources. So, yeah, I think Apex Legends would run fine on the Switch. And I'm curious if EA would make that move because EA doesn't really care that much about the Switch from what we've seen. At least they haven't shown that they do. Sure, they do FIFA, but that's about it. And that was mostly Nintendo going and getting FIFA and bringing it over with them in collaboration. But Apex Legends should, I think, follow the same path that Fortnite has followed, because I think they're using Fortnite as the roadmap. Put it on as much stuff as you can. That includes cell phones, right? Put it on the Switch. Anything you can, and then continue to build on and add content. And it seems that you make money. And as long as it's good, they'll do it. And so far, it looks good. So don't be surprised if they come out one day and they say, oh, it's on the cell phone and it's on your Switch. We'll see how people react to that. I think it'll be pretty cool. Next up, let's talk about Inside Xbox. It happened yesterday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and there wasn't a ton of stuff that stood out to me that was crazy or over the top. Game Pass was awesome. We'll talk about that. And then they did also show a trailer for Cabal that we talked about earlier, and they showed the trailer, at least the introduction trailer, for Crackdown 3 to kind of give us an idea of what's going on. Seems like a pretty straightforward story, nothing too crazy that I could see there, but they showed more of the game, and I'm a bit hesitant on Crackdown 3, I'll be honest. I have a hard time believing this game's been in development as long as it has, and we'll see. It's on Game Pass. It comes out next week. I'll just download it there and see how it is. I like Crackdown 1. Crackdown 2 was okay. Crackdown 1, by the way, is free again, so you can go check that if you want, but I'm hesitant on Crackdown 3, and I hope it's good. Like I said, the good news is it's on Game Pass. I won't be buying it technically. I'll just be downloading it, but I really wanted this game to be amazing, and it's been in development probably since the end of 2013. Like, if they showed off 2014, they actually showed like a tech demo and everything, so I have a feeling they've been working on it almost since when the Xbox One launched, like, originally, so we'll see there. But the big announcements I think people got really excited about was the Game Pass announcements. Here's actually a nice little picture capturing everything there that's coming in. Yeah, you're seeing that right. That's actually Shadow of the Tomb Raider at the top there, and that is a fairly new game. It's Tomb Raider. It's I guess their closeout to the little trilogy that they were making there, and that's the big one that got people really excited. Of course, Crackdown 3 is part of Game Pass this month. The Walking Dead, that's the season 1. That's the first complete season. Pumped BMX Pro, I'm not really sure what that is, and maybe I'll check that out, I don't know. The Blob, it looks like The Blob 1. Good little game there. And then Batman Return to Arkham, I like the Arkham series a lot. That is a really cool pickup there. Again, it's an older game, but still an awesome game to have. And I guess at this point, looking at it, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, that's a good one. And then, of course, we're all looking forward to at least being able to try out Crackdown 3. without technically spending $60. And we'll see. It looks so average, and it's kind of a shame. But if it's at least similar to the first one, to where, you know, you run around the city, you don't take it too seriously, it makes fun of itself the whole time, and you build up your ability to jump, your ability to drive in a car, which turns the car into something really cool, your weapons, I'll actually get some enjoyment out of it, but it's not going to be the big blockbuster that maybe Microsoft wanted it to be when they were first developing it. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the NES games that were revealed last night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Nintendo America put out a tweet. It looks like Japan's also getting one extra one. It's one I'm not really familiar with. It's like a sumo-style game. But the ones that I think people really care about are the others, which is Super Mario Bros. 2 from the NES, and then Kirby Adventure. So we have Kirby's Adventure, Super Mario 2. Super Mario Bros. 2 was good. It was weird, obviously, because it wasn't originally a Super Mario game, but people still really liked it. I think Kirby's Adventure is the big one here, though. I think that's the one that a lot of people should go back and try out because it is an awesome game. Still getting annoyed about the 2 games per month, the drip feed thing here, and we know those Super Nintendo games are lying in wait right now, and I think this would have been a lot better if they were like, oh, 2 games are available right now. We have, Kirby, Mario 2, we got Earthbound, and then we got, F-Zero on the Super Nintendo. All of a sudden, you got 4 games that are dropped in there, and people would be a bit more excited, but we'll see what those Super Nintendo games are doing in the code right now. Hopefully a bit later. I don't know. We'll see. But there you go. 2 more NES games. We'll see if any of those SP or the Special Edition things are also added, but more NES games, so there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about, whether it is the Switch voice app or I guess the Switch integrated voice chat going from that app. What do you think about the idea of other developers getting a hand at being able to use the voice chat? And do you think it'll help improve some games? And do you think we'll see it more now going forward? Then what about EA not doing so well? Apparently, 7.3 million copies in Battlefield 5. It's not good enough, obviously. But what do you think about Apex Legends, that possibly going to mobile and the Switch? Let me know, guys, down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.